All right. Here we are back. Sorry I missed last week. I hope that's okay, but I had other things happening, unfortunately. But today I want to talk to you about, because the holidays are coming up and it is almost always extremely stressful when you're in a good working environment and when things are going pretty good. It's extremely more difficult when you're working in an environment where there's workplace bullying. That's just the way it is. And one of the reasons that it is, and it's not something we talk about, is that bullies become meaner during the holidays. I could even say that they become grinchier, because it's like the holidays trigger happiness in a lot of people. We get to see family or friends, and we get to, have time off. And so for some people, the holidays are relaxing. And so anytime a bully thinks that you might be enjoying yourself or doing something that's, making yourself happy, then that's something that they want to stop. That's just the way it is. That's who they are. And so, hold on one second. Not having you in here. I should just keep the cat out, but I'm always like, oh, she'll be fine. No, she's always naughty. Anyway, so it seems like bullies, when the holiday season starts, they become grinchier. They become meaner bullies. And that's partially because they don't want, they're bullying you to inflict harm. And when they think, people might be relaxing in those kinds of things, bullies don't like that. And it is hard to try to find peace or joy at a holiday party when you have somebody who is hurting you and you have a group of bystanders who are doing nothing, because we know they're not neutral, they're part of the problem. It's hard to act like that's enjoyable, because I never wanted to spend the holidays with the people who were bullying me. But in one place I worked, I want to, just talk a little bit about what they did, and really why it didn't hurt my feelings. It was actually a gift, but I'm sure they thought it was, something that would bother me. So if you're listening, people, I didn't care. So one place, every year I was there, and I was there for probably six years, maybe, yeah, about 6 years. And every year they would have a holiday party, and I never once got an invitation. And, I would hear about it, bits and pieces of it later, because people would be talking about it. And I think they did those things both, one, on purpose, and because when you are having fun with your colleagues, that tends to come up in everyday work conversations. And, honestly, I had my own group of friends that I liked and wanted to spend time with. And the fact that they didn't invite me, which I'm sure the intent was to snub me, it actually was a relief that I didn't have to be around those people and be fake nice. And so it was actually a gift. Other places, I was included in the holiday party, and thankfully the holiday party, the holiday party was big enough that I didn't have to be around the people who were bullying me. There were enough people there that I could mingle with and talk to, that I actually, had a good relationship with. But if your organization requires you to go, that's something totally different, because I was never required to go it was expected that I would show up, especially in one place because, the bully really built himself on being, somebody that he thought everybody liked. And so it was his big to do every year to have this holiday party and have all of the faculty show up. But it was big enough I could blend in and I didn't have to have contact. I could say my, help, thanks for having me, yada, yada, and move on and then say thank you when I left. And that's basically what I did. But what do you do if you have to go? And how do you be kind? Oh, that's so hard to say when the bullies are bullying you, to be kind. But we want to, again, put our best foot forward. And I think, here's my advice, is if you don't have to go to the holiday party, make up an excuse and don't go. And I think there are a ton of excuses that you can use that are valid, that don't make it look like you're skipping, right? So if you have a family, you can always say a kid is sick. I mean, you can always, use the COVID response. I've been, exposed to COVID or something like that. I mean, that's an excuse that I would use and have used and did use when I was being bullied, that I have COVID, had been exposed to COVID. Don't worry about, yes, I know you shouldn't be lying and those kinds of things. But this is about stretching the truth to get you out of an uncomfortable situation. I think, is it the best policy? Probably not. But that's what I would recommend. If you can skip it, skip it. If you have to go, then I think you plan how you show up at the holiday party. Okay? Probably don't drink. Okay? And I'm telling you that because from experience, that when you're drinking, and I did a lot of drinking when I was being bullied, first off, it's always, it's a depressant. It doesn't make you feel good, and you tend to be a little bit different and less, reserved, less in control. So the best policy is to go have a soda. Don't have anything in that soda. Okay? Excuse me for 1 minute. The other thing I think is, if you can, I'm going to need you to get out, girl. Okay? Sorry. She's definitely got her Grinch going on. If you are going to a party, try not to go alone. Bring a friend who's a support person. If you can go with another colleague who you have a good relationship with, maybe a collaborative partner or that kind of thing, do that. It's somebody who can support you, give you a little squeeze in your hand, touch your back if they need to for support. Don't show up alone if you can at all costs. The other thing I think is, if you don't have anybody to go, like sometimes holiday parties don't let you bring somebody, then go for, a short period of time. Make sure that the people who need to see you, and then leave. Okay? You don't have to stay there the entire time, but I do think it is best policy to try to be of good cheer if you can do that. Okay? The other thing I think too is I want to talk about, first off, is why the tension at work increases, right? When it comes to the holidays. There's a lot of stress at work, and there's a lot of stress in your personal life when it comes to the holidays, right? Our stress increases, right? I was always under a financial crunch, and frankly, I disliked, and probably still do, for the most part, dislike the holidays because I had kids. I wasn't making that much money, and there was always a lot of pressure for me to deliver a holiday with gifts that the kids, would enjoy or wanted. And so there's all this kind of additional pressure. And at work, a lot of times, again, because it's coming to the end of the year, there's often additional pressure on top of, oh, we're supposed to be happy for the holidays. So all this additional pressure, both personal and professional, it's like, the pressure builds up. People get on edge, and bullies get to be grinchier and meaner. And even we get to, it just is harder to tolerate that kind of abuse in the workplace when everybody's telling you, oh, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, yada, yada, yada. When inside you're thinking, you know what, Bob, what I'd really like to do is, give you some charcoal for Christmas because, dude, that's what you deserve. And so lots of times, again, then we're putting on this fake face, right, or mask that isn't authentic because we can't find it within ourselves to want to be nice to somebody who is abusing us at the holidays. And it doesn't just extend to Bob, it also extends to your colleagues. Because frankly, what I'm finding is I have a lot more resentment for the people who sat there with their heads down and didn't do a damn thing. It's hard to be of good cheer and say best wishes when you think, damn, could you just say something or speak up? And so there's a lot of these kind of duality things that we're having to do. And we do those all the time in bully culture. But during the holidays, you're expected to be joyful and peaceful, right? And you're supposed to have the holiday cheer. And it's hard to fake that kind of stuff, okay? And I think you have to use the holidays for what the holidays are supposed to be about. Again, spending time with the people that you care about, your family and friends and those things. And one of the things that I made a huge mistake of, I was just like I was always consumed with work because I was so sick of and just tired of being treated like crap and nobody giving a shit or nobody believing me or nobody, supporting me or taking my side or helping me or doing anything. And especially during the holidays when we're supposed to have each other's back, right? We're supposed to do things for each other that mean something. And so it becomes even more of like a bright light shining on how dysfunctional your workplace is and how your colleagues are letting you down. And it's hard to fake that. But one of the mistakes I made is I always was constantly thinking about work. So one of the things I'm gonna suggest a couple of things, give you some holiday wisdom from a former victim of workplace bullying and then maybe a survivor of workplace bullying is what I should call myself now. Okay, first off, don't go to the holiday party if you don't have to. If you do have to and you have to go alone, show up, make sure the people who need to see you, try to, be as nice as you possibly can, and then exit quietly. If you can, show up with somebody that is a support person, whether that's a family member or a friend or a partner or even another colleague. Just having somebody there with a plan to go in, make your appearance, and then get out, okay? And if you know, which is very likely to happen to some of you, the very thing that happened to me is they're having holiday parties and not going to tell you about it. So one of the, I guess, immature things I did is I would talk about what holiday parties I went to, right? And some of those were made up, which is, again, not a good policy, but you don't have to care about their holiday parties. For me, it was actually a gift that you didn't invite me. And, if they're saying something about the holiday party, you can walk away. You can talk about your own holiday party and don't let it bother you, right? You don't want to spend time with those people. So don't let what they're doing to you at the holidays get too far under your skin. So again, make sure your barrier of, blocking what they're doing to you is reinforced 3 or 4 times during the holidays, okay? And then also, I think that some of the things that they're going to do to you, right? That's inevitable during the holidays, is in, try not to take those things personally, and which I know is easier said than done. Okay, but figure out a way when your bully is saying what you do, how in your mind you can think of something fun and holiday-ish or that kind of thing. And then also, so again, make sure that you're doing extra self-care, that you're doing extra stress relief, and make sure you're not making the mistake I made, which was to give them a lot of power over me in the holidays because I kept thinking about them. So figure out a way that you can disengage, and what I mean is unplug from your workplace. So a couple of things you might try is, giving yourself a time period, like 10 minutes, right? No more than that, probably, maybe 15 at the top, where you can think about them, and express your feelings about what they're doing to you. Set a timer, and when the timer goes off, then, go for a walk or think about something else, and just give yourself permission to think about them a little bit during the holidays. Maybe that's 10 minutes every day. Okay, 10 minutes a day is better than 10 hours. Okay, so give yourself a little permission. Maybe even you journal about them for 10 to 15 or 10 to 15 minutes, excuse me, or you write a letter. I'm a big fan of letter writing. Now, again, don't send it, especially if your bully is your boss. You don't want to send it, but you can write out what you'd really like to say to them about the holidays and what you're doing, because those things allow you to do two things: express how you're feeling, how you're really feeling, not this holiday mask that you're thinking, oh, life is great and I love everybody. No, we don't. Okay, we don't love our bullies. Okay, they're crap. Okay, but we often, act like we're nice, and we act nice to their face because that's, unfortunately or fortunately, that's the right thing to do. But then we resent that we have to do that at work. So give your permission. You get, again, write the letter so it gives you permission to say how you really feel. And the other thing it does is when you write those things out, I'd even encourage you to read it and keep it, but don't send it, right? What it does is it allows you to get your feelings out in a way that you can let some of that go, okay? Because lots of times what happens to us when we're being bullied is it becomes baked into who we are, into our physical body and into our emotional body, okay? And so writing and journaling and even giving yourself a time frame to think about them helps deal better with the holiday stress from bullying, okay? And the other thing, and this will be my final thing for the day, is that it's better to prepare and be disappointed that it didn't happen than to not prepare and be like, holy buckets, that was terrible. So now that, so it's always stressful in bully culture. The holidays are going to increase that stress. So develop a plan, even write it out, okay? And say, I'm going to do this, right? So I'm going to, I'm walking for 10 minutes. I'm going to take 2 walks instead of 1 walk, okay? This is my collaborative partner at work. I'm going to go to them twice during the day instead of once. So, and what are you going to do when they come at you, when they're sending emails, when they're on Teams or Slack, and the shit's coming at you? Develop better and different ways to deal with that accelerated stress, okay? And you need self-care at work and at home. So make sure that you're really vigilant about doing those things, okay? Because first off, those are good things to work in your day and your life anytime, okay? But it's especially good when you know that there's going to be accelerated stress, okay? You're planning ahead. Even if it doesn't happen, you've planned for it, and oh, well, it didn't happen. It's better to be prepared than to not, okay? And the other thing is, the holidays are about you, okay? They are not about your bully. And you have to remember that you, first off, don't deserve to be bullied. Okay. Tell me, right? Make sure you say that every day. I don't deserve to be bullied, and I deserve a safe place to work, and I'm a good human being, and I'm a wonderful person, or whatever it is that you want to say. Tell yourself those things every day. Have sticky notes up, whatever it is you need to do to take care of yourself, because nobody deserves to be bullied, and certainly nobody deserves to be mistreated during the holidays. So remember that the holidays are about you. So you come first, take care of you, and then deal with Bob as things come up. And again, remember, you could always reach out to me at any time, because I do know that, first off, the holidays are stressful, but when you're being bullied, it's extremely stressful. You can always reach out to me, message me here, or you can message me at jan@stopbullyculture.com. And I will be back next Wednesday at the same time. Hope maybe we'll do something fun for the holidays around bullying, if I can come up with something. And yes, sadly, I am thinking of something. So it's good to see you. Take care, and have a wonderful day.